Moving on, some items to consider when creating a synchronous asynchronous session. Consider your schedule, not just in the terms of how long it's going to take you, but also consider how much do your students need to hear from you and how much can they learn by doing. Consider what it is a student needs to complete for the sake of the course. Consider what is going to be interesting to them, consider what is going to be relevant to them, and consider, have you taken the time to get to know your individual students? Synchronous and asynchronous sessions are a great place to learn about your students. How much time do I spend getting to know my current age demographics at this point? That definitely speaks to student engagement when you're creating an interesting synchronous or exploratory synchronous session. What they are interested in is going to help them relate the content that they're learning to the test, to the course itself. And consider, when I know what I know about my students, how can I apply these to my sessions? The overall goal is to make them think, and if making them think means that we need to understand more about what they're interested in, it's a worthwhile endeavor. A session setup. At 2:45, meet and greet with the teacher, music, sing-along time, music requests accepted. Obviously, they have to be acceptable music. This is where a start of FERPA verification can take place. At 3 p.m., finish FERPA verification, bring the class into session, greet them, have good news time where you share good news, the kids share good news. And what's great about this is the next time that they come into a session or the next time that they message you, you can say, hey, I heard that you were going to become a baby brother. Did that happen? How are you doing? How are you liking it? You become more human and they feel more humanized in the online environment. 3:05 to 3:25, rhetorical devices, how to effectively persuade your audience. So this is where the little bit of lecture comes into place because sometimes you can't exclude that. 3:25 to 3:40, look at the Google document and pick the topic you want to argue against Ms. McFarland's opinion. Find evidence that supports the opposing viewpoint she gave, even if you agree with her. 3:40 to 3:55, create your response and post it to the shared document. And what's great about this is if you have a student who finishes this part early and you see that they posted it, you can say, okay, so tell me about your response. Or you can say, read the response to them and then ask them additional questions to make them think deeper. 3:55 to 4 p.m., let them ask questions about the project, or you present a little bit on the project that's coming up. And then example, exit ticket, copy and paste someone's response to Ms. McFarland's arguments to the message center. Determine the rhetorical device used and explain why or why not they were effective in their argument. Explain your reasoning in 5 to 8 sentences using evidence from the student's response. Message this to Ms. McFarland for credit. So they're looking at their own perspective, but they're also being asked to look at someone else's perspective as well. Went into this setup. The preparation for the lecture was around 30 minutes. Creating the Google document and writing responses, choosing the debate topics was about an hour. Creating that schedule was about 10 minutes. Creating that invitation was about 15. Sending the invitation was about 5 minutes, so around 2 hours of time. What's great about this, though, is this can be used over and over and over again every time you have that same course or a new course. It can also be adjusted throughout the ages and the age levels you have, I should say. And this is an online adaptation of the Socratic seminar. To show you in a math example, because math is very involved and there isn't much, you wouldn't think that there's much range or time to be able to have that personal exploratory moment in these lectures, but consider this. Have students take 5 minutes to find a location that they would like to travel by car and ask them to look up how many miles it is from their current location and have them write it down. Then have students take 5 minutes to look up the car they like and find out how many miles per gallon it gets, and then again they write it down. Students will then use the gas price they've seen lately and solve for X, the cost of gas for a round trip. And this is distance divided by miles to the gallon cost of gallon of gas times 2 equals 1 round trip of gas. And then they would have to provide you with this equation. The 500 divided by 20 times 3.75 times 2 equals 187.5. This is relatable because this is actually a way that they would use this equation, this math concept, in real life. So it draws them in by showing them that this actually is relevant to your life. So let's take a moment and talk about some strategies that we can use in an online environment. Discussion-based. So discussion encourages learners to analyze alternative ways of thinking and acting. Through this, learners explore their own experiences to become better critical thinkers. Small group problem solvers. Break students into small groups to solve a problem. Once the allotted time has been reached, students will share what they learned with the class, and then you can throw the discussion in there where they're continuously rethinking and learning from their logic. Role-playing. Students are given a scenario to write about and share with the class. For example, a lesson on characterization may include students writing or rewriting a saying the way their favorite movie character would say, using the character trait skills that they learn. Gaming. Design games and time that acts as a continuous assessment and learning opportunity. Case studies. Students discuss and respond to each other's theories about a case or scenario they are given. Again, they are playing off each other's strengths and learning from each other, as well as exploring their own thought process, which activates that engagement. Exit tickets. Consider adding a variety of exit tickets to minimizing the lecture portion of the video, or eliminating it entirely. Sending them out to do something or to solve a problem is a great learning opportunity for the students. You can do this through creating a web quest or through sending them to find specific websites and use them as a resource to answer the questions the teacher provides. There are many approaches the teacher can take, and these are just a few. I encourage you now to take a moment and pause the video and look up exit ticket web tools and jot down some quick ideas on how you can use one of them. Please pause the video here. Remember, lesson design should be more for the students, not the teacher. It should be focused and relevant to the learner while still teaching them the concepts that they need to pass the course.